Hi, I'm Doug from RPO, and today we're talking about multi-region redundancy for your AWS environments. One of the first steps you take to improve the resilience of an AWS workload is to build it to run across multiple availability zones within a region. This gives you a high availability solution to traditional data center failures, like power outages or fires. But availability zones are only partially isolated. The workloads you run there still share infrastructure, like the AWS control plane and region-wide services. The reason to embrace multi-region redundancy is to eliminate that shared infrastructure. Amazon builds each region to be completely independent, so that a failure in one region should never cascade to another. Multi-region gives you resilience to any infrastructure outage in AWS. So how do you achieve multi-region redundancy? There are essentially two models to consider here: the multi-region active model and the active-passive failover model. Let's first look at the multi-region active model. In this model, your application is actively serving users from multiple regions and replicating data among those regions as the data updates. If one of those regions goes down, the users connected to that region will move to a healthy region, usually in a minute or two. So downtime associated with a major cloud outage is about a minute for a subset of application users, which is pretty great. The downside? Well, this model is significantly more difficult to engineer and has to be baked into your application architecture from day one. It's extremely expensive to take an existing application and rebuild it to be multi-region active. The alternative is the active-passive failover model. In this model, your application runs in one region, but is also deployed to a second region in case the first has an outage. Data replicates from the first region to the second, oftentimes immediately after it is updated, so that no data is left behind if a failover becomes necessary. In the active-passive failover model, downtime depends on how quickly the outage is identified and how automated the failover process is, but it can reasonably be measured in tens of minutes. That's not as great as multi-region active, but this model can be enabled on any application without the architectural challenges associated with multi-region active. So which model is right for your multi-region redundancy? Well, like most things, it comes down to the trade-offs. If you've got the time and resources to step up to multi-region active, it'll deliver the best service levels for your application. But if you can stomach tens of minutes of downtime on the rare occasion that your primary region goes down, the active-passive model can be added to any workload with a small time investment. That's all we have time for in this video, but if you want to learn more about multi-region redundancy for your AWS workloads, contact us at rpo.io. We'll gladly show you how surprisingly easy multi-region redundancy has become.